Hello internet, my name is Lave, and courtesy of Odeon's Screen Unseen, I watched Mindhorn, which is directed by Foley, who I've never heard of, but it is written and stars Julian Barratt and Simon Farnaby, who have worked on various things, but perhaps most notably collaborated on The Mighty Boosh. Julian Barratt stars as Richard Thorncroft, a washed-up actor who back in the 80s had a hit TV show called Mindhorn, where he plays the titular character, a detective called Mindhorn, who had a bionic eye implant that could literally tell when people were telling the truth. Unfortunately, all of this fame went to his head and he pissed off a lot of people in the process. He did try to pursue a career in Hollywood, but he only got as far as Walthamstow in London. But then 25 years later, fate brings him back to the Isle of Man because of a real-life murder, and the murder suspect believes that Mindhorn is a real detective. Now, I really liked the concept of this film, but I in no way think that it's a completely original, fresh idea. I immediately thought of Galaxy Quest, which has a very similar premise. Galaxy Quest, of course, is sending up Star Trek, whereas Mindhorn is sending up TV shows like The $6 Million Man, Magnum PI, and Knight Rider. And whilst the footage that you do see of the original Mindhorn TV show is a wonderful, funny pastiche of all of those other TV shows, I was really disappointed not to see more of it. I wanted to see Mindhorn in his prime, as it were. Instead, the majority of this film is set in present day, as Mindhorn is trying to reconnect with the inhabitants of the Isle of Man, plus some former co-stars that he's managed to piss off, and the character of Mindhorn himself, which he initially sees as a chance to gain a bit of publicity and maybe kickstart his career again. And of course, he blunders his way through the murder mystery, which is a bit twisty and turny, but always very predictable. But then I wasn't going into this expecting to be blown away by the screenplay or the murder mystery that it sets up. I was going into it expecting it to be funny, and it is for the most part. There are definitely a few moments where I felt like it was sagging, and I felt like they needed a good joke to land, and then eventually it would, but definitely some moments where it sagged. But overall, there are enough jokes in it to say that I enjoyed it. Julian Barratt is really good as Richard Thorncroft slash Mindhorn. He really reminds me of an English version of Ron Burgundy mixed in with Tom Selleck, with a bit of Roy Munson from Kingpin mixed in for good measure. He's a twat, but he's a lovable twat. And I don't have any complaints with regards to any of the other performances. Farnaby plays Mindhorn's begrudged stuntman. He has a couple of moments that landed for me, other moments which didn't. Andrea Riseborough plays one of the cops that Mindhorn has to work with. Essie Davies plays a former flame of his, and I really liked Russell Tovey as a character called the Kestrel. Kenneth, Branagh and Simon Callow also turn up in a couple of neat cameos alongside Steve Coogan, who is a comedy hero of mine. He's actually an executive producer on this, and I did wonder how involved he was in the whole script writing process. In retrospect, there were a couple of moments that really made me think that's very Alan Partridge, and I wonder if he could have been a bit more hands-on just to make it a bit tighter and a bit funnier. But overall, it is quite an enjoyable experience. I did feel like the main joke was starting to wear a bit thin, but it does end with a good third act. On that note, the very end of the film, it literally finishes. I do wonder if they could have just capped it off with a little montage or something, but it literally just finishes, and I was like, oh, is that it? But overall, the film does just about enough for me to say that I did enjoy it. So that's my thoughts on Mindhorn, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. I did enjoy this film, but perhaps a part of me was expecting something slightly more. I do wonder how this is going to perform at the box office, particularly as it's going up against Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. As a cinema experience, it is okay, but I wouldn't mind betting that this actually finds its feet once it airs on television and gets more of an audience. I have a feeling it might be a bit of a cult classic, but certainly as a cinema experience, I thought it was okay. So thanks very much for watching my review of Mindhorn. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give this video a like, and don't forget to share the lave. It's truth time. Subscribe.